Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive with me? This one's really fascinating, all about assumptions and judgments and how we react to symbols.
Sounds intriguing.
It all comes from a single story about a diner waitress named Mandy. She refuses service to a man wearing a magic hat.
Oh, wow. I can already see where this is going.
Right, strong reactions already, right? But here's the thing. The man turns out to be Elon Musk.
No way. Seriously, that Elon Musk.
Yep. So that's what we're diving into today.
I mean, that simple story about a diner, in Flagstaff, Arizona, it becomes like this window into how complex our society is.
Exactly. It's not just about a hat, right? It's
Okay.
about the power that we give to symbols and the assumptions we make about people because of them.
Yeah, and the divisions those symbols create.
Okay, so let me set the scene at Millie's Diner. Classic Route 66 diner, greasy burgers, those worn-out booths, and that smell of coffee in the air.
Oh, yeah, I can practically smell it.
Right. And Mandy's been a waitress there forever. She knows everyone, and she's not afraid to speak her mind.
So, like a true local icon. Exactly. Everyone in town knows her for, well, her quick wit and her strong opinions.
So you're in Millie's, you're soaking in the atmosphere, and suddenly this man walks in wearing the Mangier hat.
Right. You can practically hear a pin drop. Some of the regulars, like Gary, the retired mechanic, he practically lives in that corner booth. He's
Oh.
watching the whole thing unfold.
I bet. And what about the other folks? Any familiar faces?
Oh, yeah. Karen, who owns the flower shop next door, she's at the counter sipping her coffee.
Yeah.
Probably wondering what's about to happen.
I mean, it's a small town, right? So everyone knows everyone's business. Something like this happens,
Yep.
and it's bound to disrupt everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just some random city diner. It's Millie's, where everyone knows Mandy.
Right, so it's personal.
Totally. So when she sees that man with the hat, you see her jaw clench, and she slams the menu down a little too hard. You know what I mean? You just know something's about to go down.
Yeah, you can feel the tension rising.
Absolutely. And the hat itself, it's like a trigger, right? Even before anyone says anything.
Oh yeah, for sure. Deeply ingrained responses, both from Andy and everyone else in there. It's fascinating, really.
Right. And Mandy's internally struggling. She's got to balance her own beliefs with how the other customers might react, and what might happen if she refuses service.
Right, a lot to think about.
But ultimately, she makes a decision, tells the man he can have his coffee, but she won't serve him food.
Wow, that's a statement.
For sure. And, it raises the question, how far would you go to stand up for what you believe in?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Totally. So anyway, the man, he gets up, leaves a $5 bill on the table, and walks out. But the tension, it doesn't leave with him. It just hangs in the air.
You can just feel that this is far from over.
Oh, absolutely. This is just the beginning.
It's like that ripple effect,
Mhm.
That one action is going to create waves that spread way beyond the walls of Millie's Diner.
Okay, so the man's gone, but the drama, it's just getting started. The next day, Mandy walks into Millie's, and it feels like the entire town's been gossiping about the whole thing.
It's fascinating how actions, even little ones, can have consequences you didn't expect. It's not just what happened at the diner, but how it affects the whole community.
Yeah, you can tell some regulars are giving her these side-eye glances, avoiding eye contact, A few even stop coming in altogether.
I mean, remember, Millie's is the place where people gather, share stories, build relationships. When you mess with that normalcy, it impacts everyone. Like throwing a stone into a pond, those ripples just keep spreading.
Exactly. And it's not just the customers. Even Karen, the flower shop owner next door, she goes up to Mandy with this worried look and says, "Yeah, Mandy, honey, are you sure you thought this through? You might be poking the hornet's nest."
She's basically warning her about the blowback, reminding her that not everyone sees things her way, especially in a small town.
Right. Sometimes standing up for what you believe in can cost you. And then there's Gary, the retired mechanic. Never misses a chance to stir the pot a little. He's always got that twinkle in his eye, Tells Mandy, "Looks like you're making waves, Mandy. Not everyone likes waves."
Oh, I like Gary already.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the town's, the voice of reason? Or is he just messing with her?
A bit of both, I think. He's definitely pushing Mandy to think about the downside, challenging her to really consider if it's all worth it. Something we all face, right? When does sticking to your principles backfire?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Meanwhile, Mandy's wrestling with her own doubts. She sees the empty booths, feels that judgment, and her tips are definitely taking a hit. She's starting to wonder if she did the right thing.
Makes you think about a time you made a tough decision based on what you believed. Ever doubted yourself? Wondered if the price was too high? It's a human thing, that struggle between what you believe and what it costs you.
So all this tension's building, Mandy's second-guessing everything, and then boom, the man in the Magier hat, he walks back into Millie's. But this time, it's different.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's not just him. It's like he brought back up, you know? He's all dressed up, looking sharp, with guys in suits flanking him. And there's a guy carrying a professional video camera. Everyone freezes. It's dead silent.
Wow. It's like he's making a statement, turning the diner into his stage. A total power move.
And then he drops the bombshell. "I'd like to reintroduce myself," he says. "My name is Elon Musk." Yep, that Elon Musk. Jaws hit the floor. Mandy's speechless. The whole diner erupts in whispers.
No way. That's a twist. Suddenly, it's not just about a waitress and a hat, is it? It's about celebrity and social media and how we see power.
Exactly. So Elon, with everyone staring at him, he addresses the crowd. He says he came to Millie's looking for a meal, but left with a lesson about assumptions. Says the hat, the symbol that caused all this commotion, it's just fabric. It only has the power we give it.
He's totally challenging us to think about the symbols we see every day, the meaning we attach to them. Think about it. A flag, a logo, a uniform. They're just things. It's our interpretation that gives them power.
Right. But Mandy doesn't let him off easy. She calls him out, asking, "You think this is some kind of game? A social experiment for your amusement?"
She's holding him accountable, which is interesting. It's not about a hat anymore. It's about the ethics of having power and the responsibility that comes with it. Elon, on purpose or not, he disrupted this community, and Mandy wants him to own up to it.
And Elon. He doesn't deny it. He leans into it even. Asks Mandy, "Isn't that what we all do? Test boundaries, provoke reactions, you learn from the results, right?" It's like he's not just defending himself, but turning it back on everyone in the diner.
Wow. He's making them look at their own part in all this, suggesting that we all have biases, make assumptions, and yeah, we're all part of this giant social experiment called life.
And even Karen, who's usually pretty level-headed, she admits, he's got a point. When's the last time we actually listened to someone who sees things differently?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? The breakdown of dialogue, all that polarization. We're so isolated in our own little echo chambers.
Yeah. So here's Mandy, face to face with Elon Musk, realizing maybe there's more to this than she thought. She's still angry, but there's a little curiosity in her eyes now.
That's huge. She's starting to question her own certainty, seeing that people and the world are more complex than she thought.
So there's Mandy right in the middle of Millie's diner with Elon Musk basically turning her whole world upside down. Feels like the whole town's holding their breath to see what'll happen next.
Oh, I bet. Can you imagine that tension?
Yeah.
This small town waitress, known for speaking her mind, going head to head with one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, controversial guys out there.
Right. It's like this tiny little microcosm of the huge societal divides we see all over.
Absolutely.
But Mandy, to her credit, she doesn't back down, looks Elon right in the eye and asks, "What were you trying to prove walking in here with that hat?" Simple question, but it gets right to the heart of it.
Oh, yeah. It's not just asking for an explanation. It's about him owning up to what he did. Even the big guys have to think about the consequences, especially when they stir things up like this.
And Elon, surprisingly, he actually gives her a straight answer. Says he wanted to see how far we've come, or maybe haven't come, as a society. See if anyone would, actually talk instead of just arguing.
Makes you think, right? How often do we just jump right into a debate, ready to defend our side without really listening? He's pointing out something really messed up about how we talk to each other, especially with social media these days.
Yeah.
Outrage and taking sides just drowns out actual understanding.
Yeah, totally. Even Gary, the truck driver who you'd figure would be on Mandy's side, and he nods along and says, "Yeah, he's right. When's the last time we really sat down and listened to someone who sees things differently?" It's a pretty powerful moment. Like, everyone's thinking about their own part in all this.
It's so easy to get caught up in our own beliefs, surrounded by people who agree with us. But to actually make progress, to really understand, you got to get out of your comfort zone and listen to those different viewpoints. It doesn't mean you give up your own values, but it's about realizing the world's complicated and we can always learn more.
So Elon leaves Millie's, leaves behind a lot to think about. The camera crew packs up in the diner, slowly starts to feel normal again. But it's different now. Like, the air's thick with all these unspoken questions. You can tell everyone's thinking about what just happened.
Like, their whole world was shaken up a little bit, made them look at their own assumptions, their biases, how they see things. Shows you even the most everyday places can become part of these bigger conversations.
Absolutely. And Mandy, you can see she's still trying to make sense of it all. Leans over to Karen and whispers, "Think I was too quick to judge him." Small moment, but it means a lot. This woman who always seems so sure, now she's questioning herself.
And that's huge. That willingness to maybe be wrong. That's how we grow, how we learn to understand. It means she's open to new ideas, to seeing things in a new light.
Right, and Gary, he chimes in again, puts a hand on her shoulder and says, "Look, Mandy, standing up for what you believe in, that's important. But sometimes it's not just what you stand for, but how you do it. A little curiosity can go a long way."
He's reminding her that it's not just about being right, but about how you treat people. It's about having strong beliefs, but also having compassion.
Yeah. And as the day goes on, Mandy keeps replaying Elon's words in her head, that thing he said about asking a question instead of making a statement. She realizes he's right. She was so focused on making her point, on being outraged, she forgot to actually listen, forgot to see the person behind the symbol.
It's something we all do, right?
Right.
How often do we let labels and assumptions decide how we treat someone? We miss that chance to connect, to really see each other.
For sure. The story ends with Mandy making this silent promise to herself. She's not going to change what she believes, but she's going to be more curious, more open to listening.
It's really hopeful ending. Like, even when things seem totally divided, we can still grow and connect with each other. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't yelling, but choosing to listen, to understand, and to try to bridge those gaps between us.
I love that. So what about you? How often do you judge based on how someone looks or what they believe in? Do you try to understand the person behind those things? The story of Mandy and Elon at Millie's Diner reminds us that we all have biases and they really affect how we treat each other, but it also shows us there's always hope, that even in tough situations, we can learn and grow and maybe even find a little grace along the way. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We'll catch you next time.